Yeah, so finding jobs is probably one of the hardest things to do, especially between 2020, actually no, 2019 to 2022. One of the hardest things to do. You know, it was very, very difficult, at least in my life, having to locate and make yourself look prominent in any place in the world. And it doesn't necessarily mean your hometown or the closest city. It just means anywhere to make a name for yourself. And that's what was so tough. It wasn't necessarily something that was going to be impossible, but it's just about how much you're willing to put time into it. It's just how life is about everything, how much you're willing to put. And fortunately enough, I was able to find a very decent position about a year later. I ended up leaving. I used to work in a big box retailer. And from there, I started getting some credentials, and it was it was good. The atmosphere was interesting. The types of devices I used were interesting, and then also the software I was using was interesting. However, uh, I just branched off after a while. I started exploring more options, and you'd be surprised how much just 1 year can help you out. Just 1 year of experience really goes a long way. But I guess you could say is the message: don't give up, and that's why I like to preach this type of stuff. I don't preach it religiously. I don't preach it to get in anybody's face. I preach it because it's just a way of life. This is just a random voice. You can choose to hear it, you can choose to ignore it. But always remember it's going to be here. That's just the way it is. And as for that, currently, I'm happy. I'm enjoying life. Everything's been going well. This setup that I have, fingers crossed, hopefully, once I have more of a stronger trajectory and more tasks are handed down and delegated upon me, then I'll be able to work remote. It's going to save me a lot of money. And don't get me wrong, I'm very, very grateful where I'm at. I love it. Atmosphere, superb. People, amazing. The work, exceptional. It's just, I'm from a small town. I live in a small town. I drive to the city every day. Anybody can tell you, in the city, it is a complete shit show. Just driving, there's nothing but monotonous drivers. The amount of people that pile up between the hours of 6:50 to 8 a.m. is ludicrous. It really is like those memes say, there's no in between. You leave at 6:30, you're fine. You leave at 6:45, you're stuck. You're not moving. People love to stop by and see things. If a person just stops to change a tire or just even check their tail light, anything like that, I guarantee you there's a line of 20 people just piling up. And then once you get there, it's like, what is there to look at? Traffic is just human error. It's funny. It really is interesting how people like to see carnage, or they like to see the despair of anybody else. It's just the society we live in. But traffic is just a man-made thing. That's why when I started driving back, there's many routes. I can go through a really, really narrow, high-ended freeway that has absolutely no shoulders. And on one side, it's a big old clump of dirt. The other side is just a river. So, give or take, your chances of mortality go about 50-50 right there. Then there's going through downtown, which is actually the best method that I've seen. There's exceptional amount of traffic, but you jump in, you get into the actual freeway, depending where you're going. It's not that bad, but for me, it's a good 40 minutes. That's why I'm really, really trying my best in my current position. That way, I can be eligible for telecommute. I'll be able to work from home. I'll be able to get some more sleep. As you can see, these little bags I got. This is a mix of stress. This is sleep deprivation, and then this is just me not listening to my lady, who tells me sometimes you gotta put on sunscreen. But hey, it's okay to be reckless sometimes. Speaking of which, I really, really, really want to get a haircut, but getting one, the whole process is it. It could be enjoyable. It could be fun. It could be like the barbershop movies. The only difference is when you're a man getting a haircut, there's a lot of steps to it. First, you have to be loyal. You have to be loyal to your barber, whoever you choose. This person is gonna dictate if you're gonna get some on the weekend, or you're gonna look homeless, or you're just gonna be looking like like some kid with a yee ass haircut. It's incredible what barbers can do. It's almost like magic. And then on top of that, the next step is price. Prices, it really does vary where you're from. If you're from the middle of nowhere like myself, it's not that much. But if you're in a bigger city like the Bay Area, you're from SoCal, you're even in the Central Valley, they can go up to like $70, and that's without tip. Over here, personally, I've had quite a history with barbers. Once I started learning about, hey, look, you can be a real man and style your hair and actually look good and take care of yourself and give a damn about your appearance, that was it. I started venturing into the local barbershops. From there, I started looking, and I would always just go in any day on the weekend and just wait for someone to be free. And nobody told me about this. I never knew you can book. You can have a specific guy, you know, the guy that does your hair, the guy that makes you look good. But that was a lot of trial and error. Then I started branching out, getting a little more social. And I started actually asking about prices, about promos, about who does what, who specializes in which kind of hair. And believe it or not, I found very good barbers. They're obviously stacked. They're there all day. They're dealing with scalp problems. They're dealing with a lot of dandruff. They're dealing with odors. So, you know, kudos to them for that. They're out there making good money. They're providing a good service to humanity. It's amazing. But there are some that they just don't cut it. Ha! See what I did there? There was this one barber, will remain unnamed. I would go to him. He did an amazing job. He'd make it go under 30 minutes. Did a decent price, about $25. That's before tip. And I would schedule with him, but the way I did, I would just hit him up on Instagram. I just send him a DM and I'd ask him, hey bro, like, can I get a haircut this week? And he'd be like, all right, bet, yeah, just tell me when. And there was no problem. Execution was fine. Communication was fine. So one day, I recall I set up an appointment on Saturday at 11 p.m. And when I went, I like to show up early. That's just the type of person I am. I like to show up 10, 15 minutes early, whether it's a haircut, whether it's going to court, it's going to school, it's going to like any type of special event, even something minimal like going to theater. I was there early. I show up, it's 10:45. I make it there. I left my house at 10:30. I get there at 10:45, park the car, finally walk out. I'm wearing some raggedy ass clothes because, you know, when you're getting a haircut, you're gonna get dirty. It's just gonna be terrible. And I sit down. I make eye contact with this fool. I really do. He looks at me, doesn't say anything. I'm like, that's fine. He's probably having a busy day or whatever. The clients were probably indifferent to him. Maybe he didn't get tipped, but I was like, that's fine. I'm not really faced, you know. He's probably busy. Afterwards, you know, the talk, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. 10:45 becomes 10:50. 10:50 becomes 10:58. And as soon as 11 hit, well, it wasn't exactly 11. It was like 11:05. You know, the guy gets off. He takes off that little protective white paper thing that covers up the neck. Takes off the mandil, and he walks out. And then he just points at some guy like that. He's like, "Hey, you, come here." And he knew damn well that we established the time at 11 on that Saturday to get a haircut. But he didn't. And that was just terrible. Ever since that, I was like, all right, that's fine. I'm gonna let it go how it goes. He's truly talented at what he does, but I'm not gonna get mixed up with none of that. Nah. And from there, I just kept bouncing to different barbershops throughout the years. Even an old friend of mine that went to high school with me that's been cutting since we were 15. But you know, the funny story is we don't stop, or we don't like switch barbers for a bad reason, aside from this previous anecdote. These ones, it's just different schedules, things conflict. People, you know, they have their lives, they have their wives, they have things to do outside of cutting. Like, one of my favorite barbers, she lives down the street. She lives a street away from here, but she moved all the way to Citrus Heights. Citrus Heights is about 35, 40 minutes from here. Don't get me wrong, the way that she was able to style hair and give me a mid fade, sometimes even a high fade, and trim the top about a quarter inch was amazing. Was able to do it pretty good, but I'm not gonna drive that far. And up until today, to this date, there's this barber shop that I called. I remember I had the day off. I just came out of an interesting meeting. More to come later. I actually called them because it's kind of difficult to get a haircut these days, let alone a barber that's willing to take new clients. And they said, oh yeah, somebody can get you. And then I asked them, well, what's the guy's name? And for the sake of confidentiality, we're going to say this guy's name's Tim. Tim said he was down. We had an appointment at 6 o'clock. You know, me and my lady are walking around downtown. It's about to be 5:50. We step in. He's still cutting up a guy. It went up to 6:10. I said, that's fine. This guy is getting one of those generic yee ass haircuts, the ones that look like noodles, all going down your face. But, you know, not hating, just probably a different, it's a different model, a different lifestyle. And I was like, all right, cool. He's going to cut his hair. It's all good. I went up to him. He tells me, hey, bro, how you doing? I tell him what I need. At the time, I just needed a mid-fade. I wanted to leave the top a certain way because I like to cut it and style it. This guy did it in 25. He kept a decent conversation going, and he wasn't annoying. And on top of that, he gave me his number right off the bat. The only downside is I can't even talk crap on the price because, to be fair, it is a good service. People need to make a living. It's like $40. Gave me $40. No, I gave him $40. Then I tipped him a good 15. So ended up being 55. And while we're on the subject, always tip the barbers. You have to tip at least 10 to 15. Anything lower than that, you're being cheap. You're being cheap. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. You have to. It's just common courtesy. That's an actual good idea of tipping. That's a good service. That's someone actually doing you a favor. Someone doing a good service for you. Not the same thing as going to a Crumble, flipping a freaking iPad, and then paying for a box of 6 cookies that are going to give you diabetes. No. But to this day, I'm liking how it is. I have a fear of going bald just because in my paternal side, actually no, my maternal side, there's history of balding. There's some pelitos sticking out everywhere, and then even that little back part is just going bald. As for me, thankfully, my father has some thick hair. He has nice thick hair. Because of him, I got what I have. Don't get me wrong. Right now, I have a yee ass haircut. As you can see, look at that. It's growing on the sides, right here, little patches. And then this is just a little poofy. I don't have it fresh. I haven't gotten a cut in a while. Reason being, Halloween. Halloween's coming up. I'm gonna be Goku Black. I'm gonna style it a certain way. The costume came in through Amazon. Some of my favorite people in the world invited us, and when I say us, me and my lady, to party, a scary movie night, and then to a cruise. We're gonna go on a cruise, so that's why I said I have to buy it. It's just like it's like for men. Like how they say in Mean Girls, you know, it's the one night girls can dress slutty and no one can say crap about it, right? Yeah, but the same thing goes for men, except a majority of them are not there to dress slutty. Majority of them are to show off their muscles or just to live a dream. Because this is for a lot of the boys out there. Y'all like to dress up on Halloween. Don't deny it. I see a lot of you guys trying to be Jesus. I see a lot of you guys trying to be the Flash. A lot of you guys trying to be Batman. Shit. I even see a lot of you guys trying to be some T-Rexes. That one, that's probably the best fit ever. I seen that. That thing's amazing. But I would just look too hilarious. I'm what would you say? I'm chibi. Mm. I have to dress a specific way. That's why I have to be mindful of what I wear. I have to wear specific things that are proportionate to my stature. But if I ever wore one, I would purposely ride around a skateboard. I would do that. I'd be driving and cruising, and I would make a compilation of all that. That reminds me of those videos of people in Japan that dress up like gorillas, or they dress up like these basically like this thing right here. They dress up like a giant version of this, and they just run around and act hella silly. I feel like that'd be pretty funny. I dress up as a gorilla because of Harambe. R.I.P. Harambe, a real one. You know what you gotta pull out for Harambe, and best believe everyone out there doing it. It's a shame what happened. One of the best gorillas, and there's a theory that ever since he was shot because of that kid that fell on the entrapment, or no, the exhibit, that life went to shit because of that. But I mean, there's been crazier things said. Wow. It's crazy how the world can go from good to bad to terribly bad, back to good, back to decent, back to mid. It's just now the world we're living in. So we passed, what did we pass? The housing crash of '08. We passed the chicken pox. We passed the Black Plague. We passed coronavirus. We passed all the variants. The DLC, as one would say. And it's like, okay, what's next? It's almost like a apocalyptic bingo. Like everyone has their own card, and you get to see what you survived. And who knows? I guess the next thing that comes, we're just gonna see how everyone's ready. But yeah, it's just about surviving day by day. You gotta do what you gotta do. Like me, I specifically like to go to sleep around like 10:30, 10. Yeah, I'm a little viejito, but don't get me wrong, when you get those full 8 hours, you feel unstoppable. Because all of y'all, whether it's a white collar job, blue collar job, out in the field, out on the streets, out on a pole, any of that, you get tired. We're all human. At the end of the day, I guarantee you sleep 5 hours, you're going to be yawning at 3 p.m., 2 p.m. Nothing wrong with sleeping and getting a full 8. Damn, even a good 10. I would kill for that. Not literally, of course. But I get my 8 hours. I wake up. As soon as I wake up, zoom, turn on that Keurig, put in my little coffee. If it's decaf, I get a little depressed. Then I do my business, brush my teeth, go see what fit I gotta put on. After that, I just kind of scramble. I get my meal prep, I put it all, get ready, put some cologne, I make sure my hair is good. Not like this. This is poof. From there, I get it done. I drive to my it's not even a 9 to 5, it's an 8 to 5. I drive to my 8 to 5. I mingle with the coworkers. We get things done. I do what is asked of me, and as you can see, I become a workaholic. But I guess that's just the norm these days. Something you gotta do to survive. It doesn't mean it's a sad thing. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means you're doing what you have to do to provide for yourself and who you care for. That's just part of life. I mean, it's like a double-edged sword. You're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of your health, your mental health, your physical health, depending on how you live. And then come back, relax. Speaking of which, I need to relax. I had a soccer game yesterday. I'm part of a co-ed league. I'm with the boys. Shout out to La Panaderia La Purísima in West Sac. That's where you should go for your bread. Wonderful, wonderful owner, Nayeli Ramirez, one of the best. She helped support and she helped fund the team. Without her help, we wouldn't be able to purchase all the necessary gear. And I really thank her. I've known her since I was a child. We went to preschool, La Escuelita, and now she's a big boss lady. She owns her own panaderia in West Sac. visit it. You have to. Best conchas, best cornitos, and best de los cupcakes. De todo eso. Hasta licuados, plebada, de todo eso. Also, yeah, but you didn't know I can speak Spanish.